because nothing that I would say would be adequate to sing the praises of the Chamber of Tax Consultants who are doing such human work over the decades in educating the public and having these kind of sessions. This is something which I have noticed which is not there amongst the other professionals. And the Chamber of Tax Consultants, I must say hats off to them for doing this on an ongoing and a regular basis. They make it a point to invite eminent speakers like Talati Sahib, who is over here, and whom I had the pleasure of interacting with when I was at Ahmedabad. That's the first time when I got to know him. And every time I meet him, it's an education for me. And it's definitely going to be an education for all of us to hear, to listen to such eminent people. The flavor of the season, if I may say so, is demonetization. And when Ketan Bhai gave me a phone call to say that whether I would be free to address this, I jumped at the opportunity because it's a rare opportunity and I always consider it to be a privilege to be associated with the CTC. When he mentioned that one of the issues over here is going to be demonetization, in fact this talk was adjourned because at that point of time when it was originally scheduled, the demonetization was in full swing. And consequently, when he said that we are going to have a talk on survey, it was something absolutely wonderful. Ketan Bhai also mentioned that during the demonetization process, there was a lot of surveys and searches that were being carried out. And there is a kind of a feeling that this trend is going to continue. So before coming over here to address this audience, in the past 2 or 3 days, I have been interacting with some of my old colleagues in the income tax department. And I was talking to them as to what is going to be the likelihood, what is going to be the likely trend in the next few weeks. And they said that so far as surveys are concerned, well, the bulk of the work has already been done because as per the Reserve Bank of India figures, about 97% of the cash has already come back into the system. So there is very little scope for doing this kind of surveys. But then when I had an interaction with them, an idea was floated that what is happening with this cash? It is being invested somewhere. So Benami properties are going to be the focus of attention, as also conspicuous consumption. One thing led to another, and one of the things that they came forward was that we are going to focus upon the registrations of immovable properties with an idea to find out whether these properties are Benami or not. Point number 2 is that so far as the conspicuous consumption is concerned, we have heard our Prime Minister speak so often that you have so many high-end cars, but shockingly, on the speech that he gave when he addressed the nation on 31st of December, it was shocking to hear that there are only 24 lakh assessees who are filing returns of more than 10 lakhs of rupees. Out of that, if you consider about 60% belonging to the salaried circle, you are left with a very, very small number. So it is but logical that the car companies, the travel agencies are going to be surveyed. Now when we talk about survey, what exactly is a survey? An important point of distinction is to be made that a survey is not a search. A search is the ultimate weapon that the tax department has got. A survey is an occasion or a weapon which is being used to verify certain stocks, books of account, and so on and so forth. They are not empowered to function as a search party. However, as Ketan Bhai has rightly pointed out, that there are occasions where some kinds of threats are being offered and inducements offered, saying that if you don't declare, we are going to convert this into a search. Now, these are the 2 issues that one has to keep in mind. The subject that I am going to be dealing with, as I have been told, is surveys under section 133A. Now, who is authorized to carry out a survey? That is a starting point. Or let us go one step before that. Why is a survey being carried out? Theoretically speaking, a survey has to be carried out for the purposes of verification of stocks and for the general purpose of verification. However, there is often, I would say, a hidden agenda. And that hidden agenda leads to a bit of chaos because surveys are planned are carried out without adequate planning. And surveys are often being used as a weapon to make or enforce declarations. So here we come to the legal issue also, whether declarations can be made and what is the validity of these declarations. Now when we talk in terms of carrying out a survey, who can carry out the survey? Thank you very much. Who can carry out a survey? Section 133A says that a survey can be carried out by any income tax authority. Now, who is an income tax authority? Can your peon, who is also an employee of the income tax department, go and carry out a survey? Can an inspector do that? Can an assistant commissioner of income tax do that? Can the CBDT do that? So the starting point is the person who are the persons who are authorized to carry out a survey. And the section says that an income tax authority can do so. Now what is an income tax authority? This is given under section 116 of the Income Tax Act, which says that an income tax authority ranges from the CBDT to the level of the inspector, but not below that. So point number one is that nobody below the rank of an inspector is authorized in any way to carry out a survey. Yes, he can be present for the survey by way of assistance, but he cannot carry out a survey. Is a warrant necessary for a survey? In search and seizure, we know that the starting point of a search would be a warrant has to be executed, and that warrant has to be shown. A panchnama has to be recorded. People who are eminent people from the locality have to be brought forward as witnesses. Are these provisions applicable to surveys? Section 133A does not speak of any such situation. So, a survey can be carried out, as we have mentioned, for the very limited purpose of ascertaining the stocks. So, point number one, a survey can be carried out by an income tax authority and none other. A person who is not an authority under the provisions of section 116 cannot carry out a survey. Point number two, where can surveys be carried out? That's an important proposition. Survey can naturally is going to be done on the business or professional premises. It cannot be done on the residence. However, there is a caveat to which I will come a short while later. It has to be done only on the business premises or the professional premises of the assessee. So that is place specific. The next issue would be person specific, namely, or jurisdictional specific. Can, let us say for example, an officer of X ward go and survey premises in A ward? The answer is no. He has to confine himself to his own jurisdiction. However, he can, if a requisition comes from the other ward, he can certainly do so. But that income tax authority of the other ward also has to be present over there. The third point is that he can carry out a survey at any place not falling within his jurisdiction if books of account or any information or any such documents are found to be available at another place. So, if let us say my jurisdiction is X ward, I cannot go into A ward. However, whilst carrying out a survey, if I get the information that certain documents or certain information is at A ward, at a place in A ward, be it a residence or an office premises, then I can certainly carry out or extend the survey over there. Is that clear so far? Next point. When can a survey be carried out? Or rather, are there any time limits by which a survey has to be carried out? A search can start at any point of time. We have seen that under the provisions of section 132 of the Act. A search can be carried out at any time. Can the same situation prevail in a survey under section 133A? The answer is no. The answer is no because of the obvious provisions of the Act, which says that a survey is by its very nature limited in content. And when it is limited in content, it has to follow these certain parameters. Those parameters, very broadly speaking, are that a search can be carried out only during the working hours of that business or profession. Now, a search can be carried out in the working hours of the business or profession. That is, the entry point is during the working hours. Is there any exit point? The section does not say so. The sections are very specific that it has to be done only during, it has to be carried out, that is the entry point is only during the working hours of the business or profession and not otherwise. In other words, after sunset, you cannot enter into the premises of anybody. However, is this a hard and fast rule that it should be done only during the daytime hours? The entry point I am referring to. The exit point can continue depending upon what is the material which has been found, etc. So, is it a universal truth or a universal law that the surveys can be carried out only between morning and evening? There is no such universal law. The section merely says that during the working hours, and this is something which I would like to elucidate with my own little experience that we had in Pune. When I was posted over there, we were noticing that certain hotels were doing excellent business. And they were doing double that business in the night. So I asked my team of inspectors that over a period of 2 weeks, taking days at random, not on a continuous basis, find out what is happening. The answer that I got was that it was a bona fide hotel with a restaurant. But after sunset hours, they were doing other kind of business. Commonly referred to as, euphemistically, house of ill repute. So we said that, all right, let's carry out a survey. So at about a little past midnight, we went over there. And sure enough, we found that the activities were going on in full swing. All the rooms were absolutely packed and booked. And naturally, there were a very good intermingling of ladies and gentlemen over there. We carried out the survey. We confronted the hotel owner. It was not a very big hotel, so there was the hotel owner, manager, everything was in one. So we asked him that what is all this happening. He sort of was initially very, very nervous, but then when we assured him that this is not a raid, we just want your admission that you have been doing this business and that this is, and what is the amount you are going to declare. Now at that point of time, I would say in the year 1984 or 85, we came out with a declaration from this person of about 50 lakhs. Now the only point that I am driving at over here is that there is no hard and fast rule that you have to enter the premises only during the morning hours and before sunset hours. Here was a case where clearly we had entered these premises for the purposes of carrying out a survey, which was well past midnight. We told the chartered accountant who was then brought on the scene, said that if you wish to challenge it, we have absolutely no objection. We have confined ourselves to the four corners of the law. There are no books of account, nothing of that sort that we have found over here. So we have to rely upon your declaration, which has been spontaneously given. Obviously, in this kind of activities, you don't maintain books of accounts. So we rely only upon the information and the admission made by that party. The chartered accountant had a word with that person and advised him that look, whatever has been done within the four corners of the law. You have not been put to any kind of an inconvenience or harassment apart from the questioning which went on to the early hours of the morning. Except for that, if you have any complaints, you can please report to the main person concerned, that was me. If you don't have any complaints, then we go ahead with this declaration. His only plea was that, sir, please bring this down, bring this figure down. We thought about it and we said that, well, there are no books of accounts, there is no evidence. The only thing that we are relying upon is the word given by the owner. And if there is no other way in which we can confront him or nail him, why not buy peace on both sides and accept whatever he is saying? So we toned down that figure to a certain amount, which we readily accepted. He paid the taxes and that was the end of it. Now, under the provisions, what is the income tax authority supposed to be doing? He is supposed to be, number one, to check or verify the cash, stock or any other valuable article or thing. That is the main purpose of carrying out the survey. Whether the stocks have been duly recorded or not, and whether the advance tax accordingly has been paid or not.
As regards timing, as you rightly said, after sunrise, but there is also an exception, no? During business hours, if your alternate business hours is in the evening, then you can serve that.
Yes, that is the point that I was emphasizing, which Ashok Bhai has rightly pointed out, that the provisions of the Act say that it should be done during the working of the business or the profession. That is during the office working hours of the business or the profession. If the profession is later on in the night, then of course one can do that. And these days, with this, the world is becoming smaller, and you have so many offices that are working 24 hours of the day. So you can certainly go to them at any point of time, because the important element is that it should be done during working hours and not outside the working hours. So that point is well taken, Ashok Bhai. Now, he has to, whilst carrying out this survey, the party surveyed has to afford all the necessary facilities for the inspection of such books of account and other documents. Now the word used over here is books of account. What happens when there are no books of account, or when books of account are there in the computerized form? What happens over there? Obviously you can't put a stamp of verification or something like that on your computer. So we go back into the definition of a books of account, and the definition of books of account is given in section 212A of the Income Tax Act. Now what does that section say? It's a very small section, but it is necessary to read that out, because the terminology used is antiquated. In present day times, you have gone far beyond the printed matter. So, books of account, this is with reference to section 212A, which has been inserted from the 1/6/2001. Books of account includes inclusive definition, ledgers, books, cash books, account books, whether kept in written form or as printouts of data stored in floppy disk, tape, or any other form of electromagnetic data storage device. Now, when this is the definition of books of account, the question that will arise is that how do you put identification, stamps of identification or verification on books of account? The answer is very logical. If the printout is small in number, then you take the printout and you put your marks of identification over there for the survey party to do so. If it is voluminous, then what is to be done? Generally speaking, what is done is that all that data is recorded again on a disk or on a pen drive or any such electromagnetic device. 2 copies are made. One copy will be with the assessing officer for working on that copy. The other copy will be sealed, which should be signed by the party, by the assessing officer, by the survey party, and that will be kept as a backup, so that in case the party who has been surveyed feels that the working device which is there with the assessing officer is going to be tampered with, there is a sealed original copy which is untampered and which can always be looked upon as a kind of verification whether there has been a tampering or not. So, I repeat, the search party has to afford all the necessary facilities to inspect such books of account or other documents, to afford the facility to check or verify the cash, stock or other valuable thing found therein, or to furnish such information that may be necessary. Now, there is one interesting point that arises over here, and that interesting point is that who can record the statement? Or rather, let me come step by step. Can a statement be recorded? Yes, please.
There are no books which are maintained. There is no computer or anything which is maintained. But the businessman is maintaining kind of a bank mirror book. That's something like what bank maintains. Correspondingly, what will be maintained in his office.
Is maintaining a bank?
Mirror.
Okay.
Passbook.
Okay.
Passbook.
Okay.
So whether that passbook can be considered a book.
Book of, yes. Let us go back to the definition. That's a good point raised. Whether a bank passbook can be considered to be a book of account. Again, let us clarify this doubt by going into the definition of books of account. Books or books of account includes, it's an inclusive definition. It includes ledgers, day books, cash books, account books and other books. Now the question is whether a bank passbook is a book. It is a book. Books of account includes this. So any kind of a written document which gives an indication that it is a book of account can be treated as a book of account. And consequently, a bank passbook can certainly be taken as a book of account and it can be utilized for the purposes of making the assessments where books of accounts are not maintained. That's a good point you have raised, sir, because I'll be taking you towards the end a case where a similar situation had arisen where the party had not maintained any books of accounts, and then what happened at the level of assessment. I'll take you to that towards the end of this little talk.
Instead of saying bank passbook, passbook maintained by the SSC.
Yes.
So on bank passbook there are different views are there. That Bombay High Court saying that bank passbook is not SSC books of account.
That's right.
Yeah. So any book maintained by the SSC.
That's right. That's another point that you have raised, Sharmaji, because when you carry out a survey, you are not confining yourself to only books of account of the assessee. You are also at full liberty to make use of any other document which gives an indication of the material of the business of the assessee. So during the course of survey, that in my opinion would also constitute a book of account upon which reliance can be placed. Yes, please.
When it comes to impounding, and say my books of accounts are maintained on a laptop and instead of a desktop, then the hard disk is not separate from a laptop. Then the impounding of the asset would come into picture.
Okay. All right.
Impounding of the books of accounts and other books.
Okay. I would say that you have jumped the gun a little bit, but I will address this. Impounding of anything is a absolute no. During a survey action, you cannot impound. But let us imagine a situation like you have said, where an impounding becomes necessary because you cannot take that part out. Let us for a moment assume that you cannot download it also. Then what happens? So I will jump the gun a little bit and I will say that alright, in such situations, the survey party can come to the very strict definition and interpretation saying that proper facility has not been accorded to me or cooperation has not been given to me. to carry out my survey. In which case, what can happen? Logical. The survey can be converted into a search. And then impounding can be done.
This is a threat.
Sorry, one by one, please. Yes, please, that gentleman.
Take this point a little further. Now, lots of accounts also maintained on cloud.
Sorry.
The accounts are nowadays maintained on cloud account.
Huh.
It's neither on a laptop nor on a desktop.
Hmm.
What do you do in such a case?
Well, I would say that in that case we leave it only to the ingenuity of both the party surveyed as well as the survey party.
But doing it nowadays, like doing direct package also available on cloud. There's so many